Hello and welcome back to Nicole's Needlecrafts. I'm Nicole and today I thought we would go through another video of ranking value yarns. The first video that I did on this subject seemed to help a lot of people out. People took a really big interest in it, so I figured why not do it again. So today we're going to be going through 6 different yarns that I consider value yarns. Now before we get started, it is important to note that I am in Canada, so any prices that I do talk about are in Canadian dollars. Also important is the fact that all of these yarns are 100% worsted weight or medium weight number 4 acrylic yarn. I have no blends here, they're all made out of acrylic, and these are all brands and styles that I consider to be easy to find in Canada and fairly common. They are either purchased at Walmart or they've been purchased at a Michael's near me. Let me know down in the comments below if you've ever tried any of these yarns and where you would rank them relative to one another. Now in this video, I don't think I'm actually going to rank these relative to one another because they are kind of different. I've got kind of 2 subsets of yarns, of acrylic yarns here. I've got kind of the Caron Simply Soft, and I've got that to compare to the Loops and Threads soft and shiny yarn. And then I've got some others that are just kind of basic craft acrylic yarn. So I don't necessarily want to actually rank them in this video, but what I will do is I will go through them and kind of explain my pros and cons for all of them. That being said, we'll start off with Caron 1 pound. So I got it in this beautiful purple kind of plum color here, and I did do a crochet swatch as well as a little knit swatch. See if it'll, there we go. Quite a lot of the yarns that I will go on to describe as like squeaky, like a really frustrating kind of grating friction feeling that you get when you knit or crochet with them. I found that that was worse when I knit with them versus when I crocheted with them. So some of these squeakier yarns might actually not be so bad to crochet with, but I found they were quite like infuriating to knit with. And that might just be a sensitivity that I have as well. It's kind of like a feeling of like friction and plasticiness in an acrylic yarn that I really hate. Let's get back to the Caron 1 pound. So I've got my notes here. Caron 1 pound comes in 30 different colors. I wrote notes here that I said it's a nice array of different colors, but there's no yellow, which I thought was really strange. You get 812 yards for $14.99 Canadian. That works out to be about $1.85 per 100 yards. When I did my little kind of squeak test, so it's that plasticky feeling that you get of like friction when the yarn is kind of moving over your needles or your hook, I gave this a 2 out of 5. There's a little bit of squeak there, but it's really not too noticeable, not too bad. Softness rating, I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. It's quite soft. It's very similar to Lion brand Pound of Love. I wouldn't say it's exactly the same. I think I do still prefer Pound of Love over this for like the drape of it and the kind of buttery feeling, but there is still a good softness here. Are you growling, Wally? Are you my protector? So that is Caron 1 pound in that beautiful plum color. I'll give you another close-up here while my little Wally boy down there starts growling. What are you growling about, buddy boy? Thank you for protecting me. I appreciate you. So moving on from that, I wanted to talk about Loops and Threads Color Craft. Now this one comes in a large skein or ball as well, just like the one we previously talked about. And so therefore it's a little bit more affordable. In fact, it's the same price as our Caron 1 pound, and you get the exact same yardage for the exact same price. So you end up getting 812 yards for $14.99. That's $1.85 per 100 yards. And it's basically just the Loops and Threads version of Caron 1 pound, and I got it in this kind of mid-gray color here. So that's this here, that's the crochet swatch. Nice little mid-gray. I just went through and chose colors that I thought I would, you know, be able to use in other projects, basically. Now this one, I will say, I'm not ranking the yarns today officially, but this one is my least favorite. Absolutely hated it. It was not fun to work with. Now before I get onto that and how it felt, I just wanted to mention that there's only apparently 7 colors of this yarn. And I guess the idea is that they just chose maybe 7 colors that they sell a lot of, or that are neutrals that they thought, you know, people will need a larger amount of in a big project, and so they chose those 7 colors. When I did my little kind of evaluation of squeak, you know, the yarn plasticiness against my needles slash hook, I said 5 out of 5, ick, ick, ick. It was just not a great feeling for me. If that kind of thing doesn't even come into your mind when you're knitting or crocheting, this is not something you need to worry about. But with this yarn, I hated the feeling of the plasticky acrylic-ness on my fingers and on my tools. Just not fun. That being said, I also said that it was a 1 out of 5 on softness. Now, I'm not saying that this feels, you know, like burlap or like, you know, wood or something. I don't know. Hay. It doesn't. There's fibers in my collection behind me that are less soft than this that I like. In comparison to all the other ones here, the other 100% acrylic worsted weight yarns, this guy is stiff and kind of scratchy. Just not something that I would want to go to if I needed, let's say, a large ball of gray yarn for a blanket project or a wearable. Certainly not something I would gravitate towards. Even just like putting this between my fingers, I can feel that kind of plasticky squeakiness, and I hate it. So that being said, Loops and Threads Colorcraft, if I had to choose between this and the Caron 1 pound, same amount of yardage, same price, all day, every day, Caron 1 pound would win out in that. Also because they've got 30 colors to choose from, whereas here I've only got 7. I wanted to move on now to a yarn that many of us have heard of before. We all have probably used it at some point or another, and that is Caron Simply Soft. So I got it in this beautiful, I believe this is called Country Red or something like that. It's like this warm red color. It's slightly more warm than the sweater I'm wearing today. So there's my crochet swatch there. And there is the little knit swatch there. I know it's kind of harder to see these little knit swatches. There we go. Beautiful, beautiful color. Caron Simply Soft is an odd one for me. I feel like there used to be more colors available for it. Officially on the website, it says there's 13 colors available for Caron Simply Soft. I could have sworn that when I was younger there were more colors, but maybe it's just not performing as well, or maybe they're, you know, planning on releasing new colors soon. I don't know. That being said, you get 315 yards of Caron Simply Soft for $7.99 Canadian, and that is $2.54 per 100 yards. Much more expensive than the previous 2 yarns we talked about, but you're also getting a smaller ball, and so you don't really save in bulk in that way. Did my little squeak test. That plasticky feeling was not really there. I actually said 0 out of 5. Nope, no squeak, didn't bother me at all. Even if I kind of rub it between my fingers right now like I did with the previous swatch, I'm not feeling any squeaky yuckiness. I'm just feeling kind of nice softness. Really, really like how this drapes in a crochet as well. For softness, I said it was 4 out of 5. Not the softest acrylic yarn I've ever had, but you know, nice and buttery, nice and smooth feeling. And you can kind of see as well, I just wanted to mention this is probably one of the smaller worsted weight yarns of the group here today. I made all of these swatches for these different yarns using the same size of tools, and you can see the size difference here. I don't know if maybe I'll put this one in front of my, put it over here. You can see the size difference. They were made with the exact same tools, exact same number of stitches. This one is much smaller than this one. So it is kind of a daintier thread to the yarn, I would say. In keeping with that, I've got another kind of daintier version. I've got kind of the Loops and Threads version of Caron Simply Soft, basically. And that is Loops and Threads Soft and Shiny, and I got it in this beautiful kind of woodland brown color. You can see that there's a bit of a shine to it, just like the name suggests. I got this little swatch here as well. Really nice stitch definition with this one. Cute. Again, really like that color, very woodsy. And that swatch is about the same size as the Caron Simply Soft swatch. Now for this guy, the Loops and Threads Soft and Shiny, you get 311 yards for $5.99. So you get approximately the same amount of yarn as the Caron Simply Soft, but you're paying a few dollars less. So that's $1.93 per 100 yards. So comparable to the $2.54 per 100 yards for the Caron Simply Soft. I will say the Loops and Threads version is a little bit thinner still than the Caron Simply Soft. So if you want something that has a little bit more heft to it, then I would say stick with the Simply Soft. If you want something that's a little bit more like movable, thinner, lighter, then the Loops and Threads Soft and Shiny is the way to go. Took a look at how many colors are available for this guy. It looks like we've got 20 colors that are available, and I wrote a note here that says they are a weird selection of colors. There's darks, there's brights, there's neutrals, but oddly enough, there is no orange. And orange is my favorite color, so I took notice of that. Squeak test, same thing as the Caron Simply Soft. I gave it a 0 out of 5. Very soft, very slippery, in fact. And for softness, I actually said that this one was a bit softer than the Caron Simply Soft. This one is a 5 out of 5 on the buttery soft scale. This would be great for garments. If you do want a little bit more structure and still want some buttery softness, Caron Simply Soft is probably the way to go. Moving on, I want to get to our last two yarns here that both kind of surprised me of how much I liked them. The Loops and Threads Soft Classic. I was expecting for this to pretty much be the same thing as the Colorcraft that we already talked about that I said was like really scratchy and nasty. I expected this to basically be that, but in smaller skeins. But it's not. I'm happy to report that it's not. I got it in this beautiful kind of burnt orange color. I know this kind of looks red on camera, but it is in fact an orange. Very nice. This one, there is 46 colors available, and I said it was actually quite kind of a nice array of colors because there's pastels, there's brights, there's darks. There's kind of a good mixture of what you might need for whatever project. 354 yards for $4.99 with this, and that ends up being $1.41 per 100 yards, which I believe is in fact, yes, our cheapest yarn so far. So it's hitting all of the positives with those colors and with that price. In my opinion, it's got a bit of a squeakiness, just like the soft, not soft classic, just like the craft yarn here. Now I said here that working with it, it was a 5 out of 5 on the icky. When I feel it off of the needles though, it's not quite as like plasticky and yucky feeling as this guy here. So maybe I'll give it like a 4 out of 5 for the soft classic on the yucky kind of feeling. Softness, however, I did give it a 3 out of 5. So it's nice enough for a wearable. It's not too bad. It's got some good structure, but it's still got some good movement. Definitely better for a wearable to go with the Loops and Threads Soft Classic compared to the Colorcraft stuff, compared to this stuff. This stuff is just noticeably, even in my hand here, it's a lot more like crunchy feeling. I thought those two were an interesting comparison because they are from the same company. The Soft Classic is in fact a lot nicer to work with, in my opinion. That brings me to the last yarn that I want to talk about today, and the most surprising yarn for me today. This is the cheapest yarn out of all of them. This is the Walmart brand Mainstays Cozy yarn, and I got it in this nice kind of charcoal gray color for you as well. This one comes in one of those big kind of value bulk balls or skeins. You got 866 yards for $10.97 at Walmart, and that's again in Canadian dollars, which equals out to be about $1.27 per 100 yards. Literally half the price, exactly half the price of Caron Simply Soft. And I would almost rather make like a blanket or a wearable out of this compared to pretty well any of these other yarns. There's only 21 colors. Yeah, mostly neutrals, a few brights here and there. Seemed to me that there was every color of the rainbow on there as well. There was a little bit of a yucky, squeaky friction to this yarn when I was working with it, but it was very minimal. A 1 out of 5, not bad at all. I was able to pretty well ignore it. What I really like about this yarn, other than just the amazing price and the fact that it's easy to get, you just go to a Walmart, is the softness. I rated this a 4.5 out of 5. It's soft, it's buttery, I really like it. It's got a little bit of structure, really nice drape if it were to be a wearable or if it were to be like a blanket or something. I just really like it, and I think that it's really, really worth the price. I am here to tell you that this is 100% acrylic, worsted weight, and if that's the kind of thing that you need, Mainstays Cozy is the way to go. Those are the 6 yarns that I wanted to talk about today. Let me know again in the comments below what yarns you have tried out of these and which ones you liked versus didn't like. Also let me know, do you kind of relate with that yucky, squeaky feeling on your fingers and on your tools when you're working with 100% acrylic yarn? I have heard some people will only use natural fibers because of that squeaky feeling. That is it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye now.